AstraZeneca's vaccine is starting to show some dangerous side effects and was pulled from investigations, while Derek Chauvin's trial has selected more jurors.
Many unaccompanied migrant children are under Border Patrol custody as capacity swells, and SpaceX continues to make groundbreaking strides.
Stay tuned for all this and more on WCTV. Welcome back to Channel 14 News. I'm Matt Mansfield.
And I'm Rebekah Vaughan. Waynesburg University's Diversity and Belonging team is fostering a new initiative centered around diversity and inclusion. Lachlan Loudon talked to students to get their take on the topics.
In today's era of social awareness, diversity has become a major topic of discussion on college campuses like this one. The Diversity and Belonging Team is an initiative on campus to inspire inclusion among students in minority demographics.
I'm a student leader. I was asked by Sarah Bell to sort of be a liaison between faculty and staff and students here on campus and get a feel for how the community is talking about topics of diversity, and that's super wide. It's not just race. We're talking about sexuality, we're talking about non-traditional students, and we're talking about students in the military. So it's a broad range, and we discuss how students can feel more included and feel more of a sense of belonging, I guess.
According to the university website, as of fall 2015, white students make up 91.2% of the student body. Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander students make up 0.3%, Hispanic students 1.1%, Black students 3.4%, Asian students 0.8%, and American Indian and Alaskan Native students a slim 0.1%. College Simply ranks Waynesburg University's diversity rating as extremely low.
Diversity is very important because you get to learn from different people. I think, at Waynesburg, there's a definite lack of diversity in several areas, and I feel like with this team, we've done a really good job on having different events to support these different types of students. Like last semester, we had an event called Let's Talk About Race, which I helped lead. There was one about faith and inclusion. This semester, we're doing a lot of events. In April is a whole diversity week where we're going to be having a lot of different events for a lot of students.
While the demographics aren't showing it, the Diversity and Belonging Team is continuing to educate and provide students with information about race in America and around the world. From WCTV, I'm Lachlan Loudon.
History of the past has been hidden away for centuries in places where many people will never get the opportunity to explore. At the Eberly Library here at Waynesburg University, students and professors dive into documents many years old. Rebekah Vaughan has more on the story.
Tucked away in the Eberly Library.
Some of the oldest books we have on campus are here.
Hidden in plain sight on the third floor.
And so we've got textiles that are 100 years old.
Is a door that many people wouldn't think twice about. Welcome to the Trans-Appalachian Room, a room full of historic books, documents, and photographs dating back to the beginning of the university's times. These items are able to give us a peek into what life was like for the students back then.
So we've played sports for a very long time, and we've got some photographs of the era. We've got a 1905 basketball team portrait. We've got a poster concerning the basketball girls, who are Pitt girls versus Waynesburg College on November 17th, 1917. So we have girls playing basketball during the middle of the First World War. We've got college catalogs from the era, so we can, in a sense, put together what the students were doing in their extracurricular activities here, but also what courses they were taking in classes.
Some of the items are so old that the staff doesn't even know how they got there.
This is a book that's written in Latin, and I'm not sure how it made its way here from Europe to Greene County, but someone bought it and brought it to us.
But among the history in this room are boxes filled to the brim with more documents. Documents that need sorted. Which is where students like junior criminal justice major Alex Nemec come into play.
I'm a member of the Bonner Scholars, and for the community service project that we were doing in the fall of 2020, we were going through the library storage here at Waynesburg University, and we came across this box of records from the 1930s. It is Some of it is prison records, some of it is court cases, but it's all from the years of roughly 1925 to 1935. One other set of documents we found is from 1929. There was something called the Wickersham Report, and it was from Washington, D.C. It was a federal report to all the different states assessing prohibition and the way that the alcohol enforcement laws had gone in the United States. And the summary from this study was that prohibition wasn't going well, people weren't enforcing it, and eventually led to the end of prohibition a few years later.
A lot of the paper documents are old and are at high risk of deterioration, so by scanning them and creating a digital version, they're being preserved for future use.
These documents are, the paper, a lot of the stuff is very fragile, especially because it's very old. So these documents might not be around forever. So even if I can have some kind of modern record saying of what they are, I think that's important for the future.
From the library, checking out, I'm Rebekah Vaughan.
Money and sports, two things gamblers can't get enough of right now. Here's Matt Mansfield with more on the growing popularity of sports gambling.
While we might be in the midst of a pandemic and money's tight for a lot of people, millions of Americans are still finding a way to set aside just a little bit of money and gamble on sports. Paul Zalakar, who regularly bets on sports and hosts his own sports betting show, PZ's Picks, saw that gambling was growing and that it was more accessible, so he decided to start his own advice channel.
It's very easy to gamble now with your phone mobily. And it's accessible in various states, off the top of my head, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, recently Michigan, New Jersey. And so it can be dangerous, it can be a lot of fun, but most importantly, like a lot of things, it's all right in moderation.
In 2020 alone, even with the COVID pandemic, DraftKings managed to make over $500 million, which was over 20% growth. This growth has been boosted by people like Ben Higgy, who are willing to regularly dish out their money on a sports bet.
It will probably be between, on average, I'd guess, $75 and $80 a week, I wager. That could be zero and then a couple weeks off, like multiple hundred the next week. Like it all will probably just average out to $75 or $80 a week.
The trajectory of sports betting in America is only projected to go up. And by 2024, it's going to grow by over $140 billion. While the big gambling companies are raking in the money, your average Joe tends to lose it. According to the Wall Street Journal, about 95% of people that place a bet lose money. And one last tip for people that are into gambling.
If you have any gambling problems, make sure to call 1-800-GAMBLER.
For WCTV Channel 14 News, I'm Matt Mansfield.
That's all we have for campus and region news. When we come back, we'll have news from around the nation.
Matt Mansfield here once again to tell you about what's going on around the nation in WCTV's National News Report. A growing number of countries have suspended injections of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine to investigate some possibly dangerous side effects. John Lawrence has the latest.
Reports of blood clots, bleeding, and even death in a very small number of people who received injections of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine are triggering a pause of its use in more than 10 countries. Although there is no definitive link to the vaccine, Germany's health minister is calling the decision precautionary and saying in order to maintain confidence in the vaccine, experts need time to review the latest incidents.
There's been ongoing engagement between the European Commission and AstraZeneca in relation to how we can get up to speed in terms of meeting its commitments to Europe.
The AstraZeneca vaccine is not available in the United States, but the FDA may consider emergency use authorization for it soon.
The FDA will look. It's not just efficacy, but it's safety. And if there's an adverse safety signal or a harm signal, they're not going to authorize it. I do have faith in the process. It is transparent as it was under our administration, and it'll get a good look. It's not 8 months ago when we were desperately in need of a vaccine that even were 50% effective.
AstraZeneca issued a statement saying safety data on 17 million people already vaccinated showed no evidence of increased risk of pulmonary embolism or deep vein thrombosis. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The suspension goes against the advice of the World Health Organization, the European Medicines Agency, and AstraZeneca. All three say there's no evidence of a link with clotting. Vice President Kamala Harris and Second Gentleman Douglas Emhoff were in Las Vegas Monday. They are there to visit the vaccination clinic at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Afterwards, the Vice President is expected to visit the Culinary Academy of Las Vegas. They will then head to Los Angeles, where they are expected to spend the night. 50% of registered voters in New York say they don't think embattled Governor Andrew Cuomo should resign. The governor has been getting a lot of pressure to step aside after being accused of sexual harassment by former employees. Cuomo has also been getting flack for his handling of the COVID-19 deaths at state nursing homes. In a poll released Monday by Siena College, 57% of people said they were happy with the way the governor has handled the allegations, while 32% said they weren't. The bad news for the governor? Only 34% say they would vote for him if he runs again in 2022, while 52% say they would prefer someone else. The 8th and 9th jurors have been picked in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. He is on trial for the 2020 death of George Floyd, who died last May after Chauvin knelt on his neck. Chauvin has pleaded not guilty to second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter charges. The court describes the 8th juror as a black male in his 30s. The 9th is a white woman in her 50s. Including the most recent jurors, 6 men and 3 women have been chosen. Jury selection started last Tuesday. The court will select a total of 14 people, 12 jurors, and 2 alternates. It's expected that the opening statements will begin no earlier than March 29th. Testimony could take roughly 4 weeks.
The number of unaccompanied migrant children in Border Patrol custody continues to swell. With not enough space to safely house the children, FEMA has been directed to step in. Camilla Barnell has the latest on the influx and the political reaction from both sides of the aisle.
Children of all ages, some with their parents, others alone.
The situation that's happening right now along the border is not good.
More than 4,000 unaccompanied migrant children are in Border Patrol custody. This is yet another increase.
Walking up to an agent with no parents, no adults in sight, who brought them?
The accelerated pace at which children are arriving and COVID-19 restrictions is resulting in children being left in jail-like facilities for extended periods of time.
Now they reached a point where the system isn't moving these children fast enough.
The Biden administration bringing in FEMA to help.
For FEMA, this is really about the humanitarian aspect of the children.
Republicans calling it a crisis, and on Monday, some even visiting the border.
All because the policies of our president has changed and told them something different. Told them to risk their lives.
While Democrats say this problem is not new.
It's not an ideal situation, and there are lots of cleanups that still need to take place from the previous administration.
But for many, it's not a blue or red problem.
Unless you're going to address the underlying issue of why parents are making an extremely hard choice to send their children north, a very dangerous trip, that's going to continue to see pressure on the system as children head north.
I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
Buckingham Palace has hired an external law firm to investigate claims the Duchess of Sussex bullied royal staff. The spokesman for Buckingham Palace told CNN their commitment to look into the circumstances around allegations from former staff of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex is being taken forward, but they will not be providing a public commentary on it. CNN was not told which firm would be investigating the claims. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are not commenting either. A spokesperson for the Sussexes previously dismissed bullying accusations reported by The Times as defamatory. SpaceX has deployed 60 Starlink satellites into orbit. Sunday morning, 6:01 a.m. Eastern, the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket successfully launched the NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The satellites were launched about an hour after liftoff. This was the 9th launch and landing of the Falcon 9 first stage booster. It previously supported launch of Crew Dragon Demo 1, RadarSat, Constellation, SXM-7, and 5 Starlink missions. Plans are underway to ease security measures at the U.S. Capitol. Authorities intend to lessen perimeter fencing and may also decrease the numbers of National Guard troops on scene. According to an internal email, Capitol Police say they are still dealing with an increased threat environment in the aftermath of January's siege on the U.S. Capitol. Officials say the biggest risk they face is a potential attack from a single person, commonly referred to as a lone wolf. Capitol Police say there is no current credible threat towards Congress or the Capitol, although the plans to scale back could be canceled if something dangerous is detected. A couple of weeks after the outer fence is taken away, Capitol Police will reevaluate the overall situation. That's all for our national news. Next up, we have Lindsay Stanger with Business and Entertainment. Now, a look outside at Caleb Yager for a brief weather update.
Hello, I'm Caleb Yager with WCTV, 65 degrees and sunny. Absolutely beautiful day here in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, and we are just 4 days away from the official start of spring. So stay tuned for an extended weather forecast right here on Channel 14 News.
We're going to fade up to camera 3 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take it.
Air travel hit a new pandemic record over the weekend. More people are traveling by air the last 4 days than any 4-day period since the pandemic started. Despite this week's warnings from the CDC urging people to put off traveling, Mandy Gaither has more at the numbers in today's Consumer Watch.
When it comes to air travel, the numbers say it all. 5.2 million people have flown since Thursday, a new pandemic record. But the airline industry is still struggling.
Our business is still off relative to 2019 levels, pre-pandemic levels. It's still down 65%, at least in February.
The industry's hoping the new numbers are the start of a comeback, especially after it just received $40 billion in a new stimulus. But recovery is not yet a sure bet. Southwest Airlines CEO Gary Kelly says it may take 5 years or more to recover to pre-pandemic levels of business travel.
Right now, we're very dependent upon consumers to fill up our airplanes. Our hope is that by the time we get to June, where you've had much of the population having had access to vaccinations, that we've got a chance at breaking even at least.
Airlines for America says the U.S. is unlikely to see a return to pre-pandemic passenger volumes before 2023. Right now, the organization says most people are booking travel only a couple weeks out. As for the air industry's future, it's still hard to forecast, but there's hope.
I think there are very clear signs that our business is picking up, which is very consistent from everything else that we're reading.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Monday morning, 2 more coronavirus testing facilities opened at Reagan National Airport and Dulles National Airport. These locations are the 10th and 11th airports across the country. Some U.S. workers may have trouble touching base with their fellow employees due to a technical glitch. Microsoft says Teams, its workplace communication platform, and other services are experiencing issues due to a problematic software update. The tech giant tweeted that the breakdown might affect users across the globe. Microsoft is rolling back the updates, but it's taking longer than expected to remedy the situation. According to the Down Detector, an outage tracking website, at least 30,000 users reported issues on Teams after 4 p.m. Eastern. A little more into the sports side, the Women's National Basketball Association is getting a new official game ball ahead of its 25th season. Wilson Sporting Goods has unveiled the white and orange Vaughan NXT. It's made from 100% composite leather and features an enhanced grip and a softer, moisture-minimalizing feel. The ball will be sold on Wilson's website starting May 3rd and the WNBA website starting May 17th. The 63rd Annual Grammy Awards are in the books. The latest award show in the COVID-19 pandemic featured the usual live performances, just without the usual screaming crowds. David Daniel has a look at the music's biggest night.
We're hoping that this is all about what 2021 can be, full of joy, new beginnings, and coming together. Never forgetting what happened in 2020, but full of hope for what is to come.
Grammys host Trevor Noah ushered in a less locked down award show as nominees performed for one another in a circle of stages. Winners accepted their awards in person, including Best New Artist Megan Thee Stallion.
Every artist that was nominated for this award is so amazing. So shout out to all of y'all.
When Billie Eilish won her second straight Record of the Year trophy for Everything I Wanted, she shouted right back, praising Megan.
You are a queen. I want to cry thinking about how much I love you. You're so beautiful. You're so talented.
The protest anthem, I Can't Breathe, was named Song of the Year.
I didn't imagine that my fear and that my pain would turn into impact and it would possibly turn into change. And I think that's what this is about, and that's why I write music.
Album of the Year went to Folklore by Taylor Swift, the first woman to win that award 3 times.
We just want to thank the fans. You guys met us in this imaginary world that we created, and we can't tell you how honored we are forever by this.
But Best R&B Performance turned out to be the night's biggest moment.
History has just been made, breaking the all-time record for the most Grammy wins ever by any female artist or any singer, male or female. The Grammy goes to Beyonce!
4 Grammys on the night gave Beyonce a career total of 28.
I believe it's my job and all of our jobs to reflect the times, and it's been such a difficult time. So I wanted to uplift, encourage, and celebrate all of the beautiful Black queens and kings that continue to inspire me and inspire the whole world.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
With her 28th career Grammy, Beyonce surpasses bluegrass country singer star Alison Krauss for the most wins by a singer and the most by any woman ever. That concludes your business and entertainment update for this week. Again, I am Lindsay Stinger, and when we get back, we'll have Jared Weicker to talk about the end of the women's and men's basketball seasons. Stay tuned for later on with the weather update with Caleb Yager as well.
Here goes Zuzic into the end zone, almost untouched.
The middle, back out to Delaney, 3 ball. How about, yes.
Cuts up inside, into the end zone. Touchdown, Trenton Carter.
Good afternoon, I'm Jared Weicker with your Channel 14 Sports Report. While the 2021 spring semester is jam-packed with Waynesburg University sports, men's and women's basketball both ended this past week with losses in the President's Athletic Conference playoffs. Both the men's and women's team began the playoffs at the Rudy Marisa Fieldhouse. The men's basketball team ended the season after a 72-58 loss to St. Vincent College on Saturday night, with a 3-6 regular season record and a final record of 3-7 after the loss. Brock Owens has the recap.
Saturday night, Waynesburg matched up against St. Vincent in the first round of the PAC men's basketball playoff, and St. Vincent got on the board first, but Isaiah Alonso quickly tied the game up at 2. The teams once again traded buckets as Shamar Bennett and Ryan Felberg finished layups. This bucket by Alonzo gave Waynesburg its first lead of the game. Waynesburg quickly put up points and took a 10-point lead on this layup by Matt Popek. The rest of the half was nearly even between the Yellow Jackets and Bearcats as Waynesburg went into halftime up by 9 points with a score of 36-27. Isaiah Alonzo and Matt Popek had 24 of Waynesburg's 36 points in the first half. St. Vincent came out of halftime firing, though, and tied up the game on this layup by Nelson Etuck. After back and forth, Waynesburg was up 52-51. From there, St. Vincent scored 12 points unanswered to go up 63-52 late in the game. A few scores from each side gave St. Vincent a 72-58 victory. Waynesburg head coach Tim Fusina had this to say about the drought that led to the Bearcats' victory.
The drought was because we stopped working for shots.
Fusina does take some positives from the game, though.
I don't think we ever give up. I think we are a tough group.
For WCTV, I'm Brock Owens.
The women had a different outcome in a nail-biter rematch with Teal College Saturday afternoon. Caleb Yager has more.
I'm standing in front of the Rudy Marisa Fieldhouse, where last week the Waynesburg women's basketball team defeated the Teal College Tomcats 64-47. Today was the first round of the PAC women's basketball playoff, where Waynesburg hosted Teal once again at the Rudy Marisa Fieldhouse. But today, overtime was needed to decide a victor. It was a strong start for the Yellow Jackets right off the bat, but as the first quarter progressed, Teal's defense and scoring also progressed, making it a 4-point game at the end of the first quarter. Teal would then outscore Waynesburg 16-15 in the second quarter. Freshman Marley Wolf led the Yellow Jackets at halftime with 8 points and 2 threes in the tightly contested first half.
Well, we knew they came in with a lot of momentum, so we had to match that too. And we knew that it was very close and honestly just dig down deep because it could have been our last game. So we all had an extra little spark.
Junior Rachel Breckenridge only had 3 points in the first half, but the addition of 4 more three-pointers helped her lead the team with 18 total points.
Teal played hard. Credit to them. It was a great game because of what they did. Again, hitting some shots, just battling us on the boards, tooth and nail, forcing some turnovers with their press. So kudos to them, but they did a nice job.
The game was tied 63 apiece with time running down. Casey Castrol, who came back after missing games for Waynesburg, had the opportunity to win it for the Yellow Jackets with this shot, but it was no good, which resulted in going to overtime. Marley Wolf, who finished the night with 16 points and 3 triples, scored the first points of the overtime with this three-pointer to help lead Waynesburg to a 72-67 victory. Senior Andrea Orlowski led the way for the Yellow Jackets with 18 points and 7 rebounds. Junior Brooke Fuller contributed a double-double with 11 points and 10 rebounds. Although there were no outside spectators that attended the game, PAC Commissioner Joe Anderko decided to pay a visit to the Rudy Marisa Fieldhouse.
That's the great thing about tournament time is that anybody can beat everybody. You're all starting scratch, and you see those kind of games. And so Waynesburg earned the win, but they really had to battle for it today.
For WCTV Sports, I'm Caleb Yager.
The Lady Jackets moved on and faced St. Vincent College on the road last night in the quarterfinals. The Bearcats were victorious, however, with an 87-59 win. The first half was close despite the outcome, with the Lady Jackets only trailing by 7 at halftime, down 42-35. Waynesburg also battled back in the second half and trailed 50-46 before the Bearcats ran away on a 13-2 run and closed out the game. Waynesburg senior Andrea Orlowski ended her collegiate career with a double-double, putting up 13 rebounds and scoring 18 points. 3 other Waynesburg players also hit double digits in the game. St. Vincent was led by sophomore Ella Marconi, who also recorded a double-double with 15 rebounds and 20 points. 3 other Bearcats also recorded at least 11 points. The Lady Jackets ended the season with a 3-8 combined record after the playoffs. The Waynesburg University softball team went 2-2 this past week, splitting doubleheaders with Grove City and Bethany. Waynesburg started on the road in Grove City, losing 4-1 in the first game and winning 8-6 in the second game. Sophomore Reagan Benschoter swung for the fences once again during the win, going 2 for 4 at the plate, including a 2-run blast in the top of the 7th inning for her second home run of the season. Waynesburg then hosted Bethany College at home this past Saturday, dropping the first game 4-1 to the Bison, but winning the second game 2-0 thanks to a complete game shutout by freshman pitcher Ella Brookman. The Yellow Jackets softball is currently playing right now in Game 2 of a doubleheader with Geneva after dropping Game 1 7-1, Game 2 in progress right now. Waynesburg University baseball also played 2 doubleheaders this week, both against Grove City. The first game on the road in Grove City was on Wednesday. First game, a very close 2-1 loss, followed by a 13-3 defeat in Game 2. The final 2 games of the season against Grove City were at home on Saturday. Both games were close once again, with a 4-2 loss in Game 1 and a 3-1 loss in Game 2. Jackets baseball will return for another doubleheader this Friday on the road in Geneva at 1 p.m. Waynesburg University men's and women's soccer opened the 2021 season this past Saturday in Grove City as well. The women started the day off at 1 o'clock with a 3-0 loss to the Wolverines, followed by the men at 4 with a 2-0 defeat. Both teams will return this Saturday hosting Chatham University. The women begin play at 1 o'clock, followed by the men at 3:30. Waynesburg University women's lacrosse opened the 2021 season this past Saturday on the road against Washington and Jefferson. The Yellow Jackets fell 23-2 to the Presidents. Sophomore midfielder Hannah Rosenberger had both goals for the Jackets. The team will return this Sunday at Chatham University at 2:05 p.m. And finally, the Waynesburg University volleyball team hosted Grove City College for a single match at the Rudy Marisa Fieldhouse this past Thursday. The Yellow Jackets dropped 3 straight sets to the Wolverines with final scores of 25-20 in set 1, 27-25 in set 2, and 25-9 in set 3. The volleyball team will return this Friday against Bethany College for a doubleheader starting at 6 p.m. That's all for sports. Stay tuned for right here on Channel 14 for your full weather report with Caleb Yager.
Have you ever been to the Everly Library? If not, you should, because it's great. They have books of all different genres: history, biography, fiction. Try The Evolution of Life, Life of Pi, or Jurassic Park. So what if books aren't your thing? Try movies like Frozen, or TV shows like Lost. Books and DVDs aren't the only thing though. Take a trip to the second floor. Welcome to the Writing Center. These tutors will tell you everything you need to know about writing a paper, and they'll help revise your essays. Now let's head back down. Behold, the Knox Learning Center. Need to print something out 5 minutes before your next class because you procrastinated? No problem. You can also print off pictures of dogs. Because, well, you can. So grab your homework, laptop, and textbook, and study diligently. Bring your lunch too. Actually, you can't. That's illegal. Now you know the Everly Library. Stop by anytime. Seriously, it's open all week.
Hello, I'm Caleb Yager with your Channel 14 weather report. It is currently 67 degrees here in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania with some cloudy skies. It's a little warmer today, and tomorrow it'll be even warmer. Are you ready for this? 68 degrees as the high tomorrow with some morning clouds and some afternoon sunshine. The low temperature will be 50 degrees. On Thursday, we can expect some rain and even thunder with a 96% chance of rain. The high temperature will be 64 degrees, still a bit warmer, but a low of just 32 degrees. The rain will clear by Friday, calling for partly cloudy skies, but the high temperature will be just 45 degrees and the low will be 23 degrees. As we head into the weekend, the high for Saturday will be 54 degrees and the low will be 27 degrees with sunny skies as the forecast. Sunday is looking sunny as well with a high of 63 and a low of 31. Next week, as we begin to go back to school and work, we will have great first 2 days here. Monday and Tuesday both have high temperatures of 68 degrees with Monday having mostly sunny skies and a low temperature of 39 degrees. Tuesday has a low of 46 degrees and mostly cloudy skies as the forecast. I'm Caleb Yager, and this has been your extended weather forecast right here on Channel 14 News.
Well, thank you, Caleb, and that beautiful weather coming up is exciting, especially being that we've got St. Patrick's Day coming up, and it's going to be a beautiful day for that, as Caleb had mentioned.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I love all the green. It really makes it feel like spring is really right around the corner.
Absolutely, one of the more underrated holidays. It's a good one, though, and again, another excuse to just eat a lot of food for a holiday, even if you're not super into celebrating it. That's going to do it for us here on Channel 14 News. Make sure you tune in every Tuesday at 5 o'clock.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.